Oh great! Another romance anime where best girl is going to lose. This story begins with our main man Taiki Inamata as he excitedly sprints towards his school. But why is he so excited? I don't remember ever looking forward to going to school. Well, it turns out that every morning, there's always a girl there practicing basketball. This is Chinatsu Senpai, the popular girl that our underdog has a crush on. See, it turns out that both of them attend a very special private school that specialises in sport, with Chinatsu being part of the girls' basketball team, whilst Taiki focuses on badminton, with the mornings at this school being free for practice, and these two always being the first ones to show up. So of course our boy would like to use this time to get closer to her, even though his friends consistently reiterate that he has no chance of her. However, a spanner very quickly gets thrown into the works when Taiki learns that Chinatsu and her family are soon moving overseas, meaning that he doesn't have that much time to spend with her. Upon learning this fact from his mother, Taiki instinctively sprints off so that he can ask Chinatsu about it, as it would mean leaving behind the sport that she loves. Bursting into the gym, Taiki tells her to make it to nationals, to work hard to achieve her goals, to keep moving forward, to never give up, to be the best basketball player. Oh. Then what was the point in Taiki running all this way? He's knackered himself out before practice. It turns out that in actuality, her parents are moving abroad, while she in fact stays with a family acquaintance, with her deciding to stay because of Taiki, after he'd previously reminded her of how important basketball was to her, and she's very grateful to him for that. Waking up the next day, Taiki's embarrassed by everything he said. He's an earnest and kind guy, but it also means that he sometimes does things without thinking. And like a lot of us, he can't help but cringe looking back on his prior actions. Suffice to say, he wouldn't mind not seeing Chinatsu Senpai today. So of course she's standing in his kitchen. See, it turns out the acquaintance that she'll be staying with, whilst their parents are away, is him, as their mums were both on the basketball team when they went to that same school. Don't worry, the first episode does set this up. This isn't just some random plot twist that comes out of nowhere. But for Taiki, this is both a dream come true and his worst nightmare. To make matters even more complicated, there's Hina, the majestic rhythmic gymnast, Taiki's close friend, and also the best character in this show. Someone who also perhaps wants Taiki to be more than just a friend. So who will Taiki go for? Will his relationship with Chinatsu blossom into something else, with them staying under the same roof? And will he get any better at badminton? Because that's part of this show too. Find out all that, and more, in Blue Balls. I mean Blue Box. Honestly, I'm really happy that Telecom Animation Film were the ones that animated this series, because they really needed a win after that disastrous Rick and Morty anime. That is something that I have tried and failed to purge from my memory. But this anime really feels like a labour of love. You can tell that this show was amongst the highest of their priorities, and they wanted it to be as successful as possible. Some of the animation during the badminton scenes looks fantastic, and don't even get me started on how beautiful the openings and endings are. But that's not surprising, as I believe they were all done by Wit Studio. Helps too that the songs are incredible as well. However, whilst I did like this anime quite a bit, it was one that needed time to grow on me, as I was initially very underwhelmed by this series, and that is completely to do with Chinatsu Senpai's character. Now, I did overall enjoy the first half of this show, since I really liked Taiki as a protagonist, but I just cannot but be really disappointed by Chinatsu's characterization. Hands down, Hina was the far more interesting and fleshed out character. She even ended up being the best Snow White of this year.
Magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest of them all?
Hina. By comparison, Chinatsu was just boring. She felt like less of a character and more of a goal, an object for Taiki to achieve, something for him to win before this series is over. We never got to hear her thoughts or learn how she felt about things, which isn't necessary for a good love interest. For example, in The Dangers in My Heart, which is a phenomenal romance anime by the way, Yamada had no internal monologues for us to listen to, and yet she was still so engaging to watch because so much of her personality and true feelings came out through her actions and mannerisms and dialogue. In contrast, Chinatsu felt like too much of a blank slate to me. It's likely why I didn't understand why she all of a sudden started developing feelings for Taiki. Now to be clear, throughout this first season, there are many moments where Taiki does something that would cause Chinatsu to fall for him. It's just that it seemed like she had fallen for him before he had done any of those things. And because I couldn't hear her thoughts, I don't really know why she seemingly did like him. It just felt like she developed feelings a little too early and unnaturally, at least in my opinion. Fortunately, the second half of this anime completely rectified Chinatsu for me, as she got a lot more attention and her character actually felt like a character instead of something for our lead to obtain. There's a moment in this anime where she truly believes Taiki is in love with another girl, and I legitimately felt sorry for her because she looked so hurt yet strives to put on a brave face, because that's what Chinatsu does. She bottles up her true feelings since she wants to succeed. She doesn't pursue Taiki for two reasons. Firstly, she doesn't know for certain that she actually loves him. What we consider love does differ from person to person. But secondly, because it would divert her attention away from her basketball career. And what's interesting is that Taiki completely gets this, since he views his badminton in the same way. He wants to be the best at it, like she wants to be the best at basketball. It's just that he wouldn't mind being the best with Chinatsu by his side. And yet, despite her understandable reasons, being this way is hurting Chinatsu. She has all these feelings and emotions trapped inside of her, and she can't really tell anyone about them. And if she does, it's only ever like she's drip feeding them. Hence why I found her so bland in the first half, as she revealed so little of herself. Learning all this, it becomes more obvious that our two leads are actually a good match, as Chinatsu needs the comfort and supportive nature of Taiki more than he needs her. It's a classic rom-com trait of he fell first, but she fell harder. I was totally team Hina for a lot of this first season, but as the show went on, I ended up being completely okay with Taiki ending up with either of the love interests, because they both received a healthy dose of development. It's a genuinely great love triangle. It's just a shame that I think Hina would make a much better fit in this show. Talking about these characters' aspirations and how it impedes their relationship progress highlights how the romance aspect and the sports aspect of this series intertwine. These kids go to a private school that specialises in sports. They are working very hard to achieve their dreams, so it's not surprising that they don't want to do anything that could potentially jeopardise their hard work. If Taiki asks out Chinatsu and she rejects him, then that would impact his motivation, and vice versa. If Chinatsu and Taiki started dating, then of course some of their focus would divert away from basketball, and these hypothetical futures lead to uncertainty and pain over their own feelings. Even without potential relationship drama, these characters are still under a lot of pressure, with Taiki consistently trying to improve himself. The struggle they'll go through to be the best they can be is extremely relatable. I know I connected with it because it's how I feel making these YouTube videos. You try so hard and spend so much time on something only to come away dissatisfied with the result, as if you haven't received the reward that you were hoping for, with there being this nagging voice asking you, why did I spend all my time on that? Why am I trying so hard just to be mediocre? Wouldn't it be so easy to just give up? And the answer to all these questions is the same answer that the show gives you, because becoming great at something takes time, and it takes struggle, without time being a luxury that you may not have. And you know what sadly eats into that? Going on dates with someone that you love, which results in more questions weighing on the characters' minds. Like, will putting all my time and effort into this actually give me happiness? Or will I find that happiness in something else? Or someone else? These are all questions that I ask myself after both watching this anime and looking at the current state of my channel. To return to the romance aspect of this series, I do love how Taiki handles his growing feelings for both girls in the love triangle. He's truly a nice guy and doesn't want to hurt either of them, but he also doesn't know for certain which one he actually likes. Yeah, he liked Chinatsu first, but does he love her? Or is he just suffering from a case of unpopular boy crushing on the hot popular girl? That's not to imply his feelings for her are fake, but are they the feelings for her that he thought they were? There is a very fine line between being attracted to someone, lusting over them, liking them as a person, and genuinely being in love with them. Where does Chinatsu Senpai sit on that line for him? And it's the same with Hina. He obviously cares for her since they've been close friends for a very long time. It's just that up to this point, he never saw her as more than a friend. But does that mean that he can't see her as more than a friend? Is it possible that he never looked at her that way because he'd already put her in a box, a blue box, called the friend zone? And now that she's trying so hard to get out of it, he can't help but look at her differently. He does love Hina, but is it just platonic love or is it romantic, sexual love? He cares about both of them, but does he care about one of them more? He's pretty adamant that he wants to be with Chinatsu, but is that because he loves her more or because he loved her first? The complexity of Taiki's emotions and how he chooses to handle them is presented brilliantly. This is a very difficult situation for Taiki, but the way he conducts himself is very admirable and further makes it clear why both girls like him. It also makes him a lot more likeable to the viewer, as despite his quirks and energetic nature, he has the capacity to act very maturely when the situation calls for it. With our main trio being so well written, it should come as no surprise that our supporting characters are fun to watch as well. No one dislikes Haru, he's basically Taiki's unofficial brother, looking out for him, but also messing with him at every opportunity. Ayumi is the character equivalent of throwing dynamite in a library, and Kyo may just be the greatest wingman in the history of anime. I honestly wish that he got more screen time in this series, although I am a little concerned that they're going to do the cliche thing of having him and Hina eventually getting together. I personally wouldn't like that, as I'd rather they both ended up with someone who only had eyes for them and them alone. Blue Box is a show that I enjoyed more and more with each passing episode. It was never my favourite anime of either season that it aired, but I ended up really liking the characters in this series, and I found myself often looking forward to the familiar comfort of seeing them again each week, and I can't wait to dive into the second season when it releases. But anyway, these were just my thoughts on Blue Box. What about you? Did you like this anime? Have you seen it? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know down below. And whilst you're down there, do be sure to hit the like button. It really helps both me and the video out. And if you're feeling especially generous, then do click the subscribe button. I'd love to have you become a regular viewer. But until next time, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next one.
Bye bye!